Hello YouTubers, and today we're going to learn about a topic that I normally wouldn't cover, but we're going to learn about the yoms-vikings. Now, the Vikings were a seafaring people, and being seafaring people, they pillaged, plundered, raided churches, worshipped Odin and Thor, drank out of drinking fountains like this, and ate some of the finest food known to man. But there was one group of Vikings that went above and beyond the conventions of their time. They were known as the yoms-vikings. The yoms-vikings were an order of Viking mercenaries or conquerors of the 10th and 11th century. They were staunchly pagan, which means they worshipped Odin, Thor, but in a very fervent way. It was almost like nationalism to them. And they were dedicated to the worship of such deities as Odin and Thor. Like I said, they reputably would fight for any lord able to pay their substantial fees.
Are you staying in here?
Yeah. Sorry about that. But anyway, they reputably would fight for any lord able to pay their substantial fees and occasionally fall alongside Christian rulers. Which, that was a big no-no, especially when we're talking about pagans trying to, intermingle with Christians, which that turns out to be a pure bloodbath. But anyway, although they were pagan, the institutions of the yoms-vikings in some ways foreshadowed those of the Christian knightly orders of the later Middle Ages. So they're basically the inspiration from the Templars, the Teutonic Knights, Brothers of the Sword, etc., etc. Now, here's the legend of the yoms-vikings. The legend of the yoms-vikings appears in some of the Icelandic sagas from the 12th and 13th centuries. According to the sagas, particularly the yoms-vikings saga, King Olaf Tryggvason's saga, and stories found in the Flatty book. Is that Flatty book? No, that's Flatty book. Yes, Flatty book. Their stronghold, Jomsvikings, was located on the southern shore of the Baltic Sea, which could be right around Poland, Germany, Lithuania, Estonia. But the exact location is disputed by modern historians and archaeologists. Most scholars locate it on the hill Silberberg, north of the town of Volyn Island in modern-day Poland. I guess I was right. Jomsvikings is thought by some researchers to be identical with Yuna, Yulin, and Vinita, which are mentioned in both Danish and German records from the Middle Ages. Historians still debate the accuracy of the accounts of the yoms-vikings, since the site of their headquarters has never been conclusively located. Confirming the tales of their exploits is somewhat difficult. The location of Jomsborg is a matter of debate in historical circles due to the scarcity of primary sources. There are no contemporary sources mentioning the name yoms-vikings in Jomsborg, but there are 3 contemporary runestones. Riftstones also appear in Old Norse poetry and Lasavisur, which refer to their battles. Now they had this code. The saga of the yoms-vikings relates that the yoms-vikings were highly selective in deciding who to admit to their order, So this was like an exclusive club of Vikings. It was basically like, I don't know, like a pro football team in our day. Membership was restricted to men of proven valor between 18 and 50. With the exception of a boy named Vagan Atkinson, who defeated Sigvaldi Struthardsson in single combat at the age of 12. Wow. Nice. Good job. Good job, Vagan. In order to gain admission, prospective members were required to prove themselves with a feat of strength, often taking the form of a ritual duel, or holmgang, with a yoms-viking. So like an initiation rite. Once admitted, the yoms-vikings required adherence to a strict code of conduct in order to instill a sense of military discipline among its members. So it's kind of like the U.S. Army in some way. Any violation of these rules could be punished with immediate expulsion from the order. Kind of sounds like school a lot. Each yoms-viking was bound to defend his brothers as well as to avenge their deaths if necessary. Well, kind of like samurai, but they don't kill themselves. He was forbidden to speak ill of his fellows or to quarrel with them. Blood feuds, which were pretty common in Scandinavia, between members were to be mediated by yoms-viking officers. So they had a police force? Oh, never mind. Yoms-vikings were forbidden to show fear or to flee in the face of an enemy of equal or inferior strength. Though orderly retreat in the face of vastly outnumbering forces appears to have been acceptable. So, they're basically, going against the rules that they set. All spoils of battle were to be equally distributed among the entire Brotherhood. No yoms-viking was permitted to be absent from Jomsburg for more than 3 days without the permission of the Brotherhood. Sounds familiar. Sounds like pirates, divvying up the booty. No women or children were allowed within the fortress walls, and none were to be taken captive. Sounds a lot like the UN with their human rights policies. It is unclear, however, whether members were forbidden marriage or liaisons with women outside the walls. Now, here's an example of one of the yoms-viking code of conduct rules being taken literally. The Sjorp runestone in Sjorp, Sweden, is generally associated with the yoms-viking attack on Uppsala, which Uppsala was back in the day a religious center for Norse pagans. The Battle of the Fridsvilir. It says Saxi places stone in memory of Asbjorn Tofis, or Toki's son, his partner. He didn't flee Uppsala, but slaughtered as long as he had a weapon. It was very common back in the day to lose your weapon, especially if it was one of these Viking swords. I know this ain't a good representation of a Viking sword, but it'll do. To give it some more authenticity, I put runes on it. I don't think they carved runes into the sword. And if they did, they wouldn't be used for battle, contrary to popular belief. Also got a scabbard for this. But anyway, here's the history of the yoms-vikings. There are different accounts for the origins of the order. The Gesta Danorum, Book 10 of the Gesta Danorum, tells that a settlement named Ulanum was conquered by the King of Denmark, Harold Bluetooth of Bluetooth fame. Which, fun fact, this is where we got the name Bluetooth from, the Vikings, who gave it to the Swedish prince Styrbjorn the Strong. Styrbjorn the Strong, I said. Harold then provided Styrbjorn with a strong force with which he terrorized the seas. The Kintlinga saga agrees by giving Harold as the founder of the yoms-vikings, with the story of Styrbjorn is not connected to the yoms-vikings. The yoms-vikinga saga says that the settlement was founded by Polnatoke, receiving the location from the mythical Vindish ruler Burislav. I haven't really talked about the Vins, but the Vins were basically pirates. And they were savages in the Viking. Were savages. And a threat to Christendom, at least in the Baltic. Alright. Styrbjarnar, Thatir Sviakappa, and Irbagga saga agreed with all previously mentioned versions about making Styrbjorn take command of the yoms-vikings after they already had been established. Styrbjarnar Thatir Sviakappa also tells that among the Norse there were many men from the Eastland arriving at Jomsburg, suggesting that it was a settlement of mixed ethnicity. Most likely, they came from Novgorod or Kiev, somewhere in the Kievan region. Yoms-Viking chieftains included Polnatok, Styrbjorn the Strong, Sigvaldi Haraldsson, Thorkild the High, and Hyming. Accounts of their size vary. In various sources, Jomsborg was supposed to have held anywhere from 30 to 300 ships in its harbor. However, some historians believe Jomsborg was largely a market center with its dangerous garrison imposed on the Vins. The Vins. I already talked about the Vins. Now, Book 10 of the Gesta Danorum, Styrbjarnar, Thatir Sviakappa, and Irbagga saga relate that in the early 980s, the exiled Swedish prince Styrbjorn the Strong brought the Yoms-Vikings to a devastating defeat against Styrbjorn's uncle, King Eric the Victorious, at the Battle of the Fiersvillir, Uppsala in 984 or 985. Nobody really knows the definite date or time or month or day when this battle culminated, but it's right around the 984 to 985 range, while trying to take the crown of Sweden by force of arms. The fact that the Yoms-Vikings loss was attributed to a pact which the Swedish king Eric made with Odin. This is where it gets all messy. You see, the people who were writing all this stuff down intermixed religion or mythology, whichever of the two, with actual events for the audience. And most of this was written for common people who wanted, some divine intervention in there. So, there you go. 3 runestones from this time. The Hogby runestone, which says the brave champion Asmund fell on the Fiercevillier. 1. The Helstad runestones, labeled DR 295. He didn't flee at Uppsala. And the Sorup runestone. He didn't flee at Uppsala, but slaughtered as long as he had a weapon. Relate to deaths with honor at Uppsala. Probably 3 yoms-vikings. The battle is also commemorated in poetry by the Icelandic skald Thorvaldur Hjaltason, who took part in the battle on the Swedish side. I don't recall any skald serving in wars. Yoms-vikings saga tells that in 985 they attacked Hakon Jarl in Norway and were defeated in the Battle of Hjörungavagar. The saga recounts that yoms-vikings captured by the Norwegians and about to be executed exhibited courage and defiance, some being eventually spared by their captors. The yoms-vikings saga ends with a brief explanation of the battle's aftermath and, in fact, points to this battle as the beginning of the end for the yoms-vikings. The yoms-vikings weren't unstoppable. Contrary to popular belief, Vikings weren't unstoppable. They suffered their defeats. They had their fair share of losses. And the last major loss for the Vikings was at the Battle of Stamford Bridge, which the last true Viking, Harald Hardrada, lost his life while fighting to the last stand against the English king, Harold Godwinson.
Are you videoing?
Yeah. After these 2 decisive defeats, the power of the yoms-vikings waned, but Olaf Tryggvason's saga relates that they played a decisive and treacherous role in the Battle of Svolder in 1000, which is 6 years before the Battle of Stamford Bridge. At Svolder, a yoms-viking force led by Sigvald Jarl abandoned King Olaf of Norway and joined forces with his enemies to annihilate his fleet. This action may have been intended to fight the Christianization of Scandinavia, which had been forcibly promoted by Olaf. As it happened, though, the Danish king Svein Forkbeard, who won the Norwegian throne when the sea battle ended, was, at least nominally, a Christian. He and his father, King Harald Bluetooth of Denmark, are reported to have been baptized in 965. Which, if you didn't know, was a calculated political move, because the Holy Roman Empire was about to get after them. And if the Vikings didn't Christianize, the full might of the Holy Roman Empire would come on them, and they would become vassals to Otto the Great. Their decline continued over the next few decades. According to the Heimskringla, King Magnus I of Norway decided to put an end to the yoms-viking threat. As part of consolidating his control of Denmark, he sacked Jomsborg in 1045, destroying the fortress and killing many of its inhabitants. Nowadays, you don't see any descendants of the yoms-vikings. I don't think anybody can trace their lineage if they had Scandinavian ancestry back to a member of the yoms-vikings. If someone could, if someone tried that and got nowhere, then you probably know why. They probably got killed. Oh, gosh. A golden disc bearing the name of Harald Bluetooth and yoms-viking stronghold seat Jomsborg. Wait. Let me go back. Recently, in 2014, there has been an archaeological find about the yoms-vikings. A golden disc bearing the name of Harald Bluetooth and yoms-viking stronghold seat Jomsborg was rediscovered in Sweden and on 2014. The disc, also called the Kermsum disc, is made of high gold content and has a weight of 25.23 grams. On the reverse, there is a Latin inscription. On the reverse, there is a Latin cross with 4 dots surrounded by an octagonal ridge. And the inscription reads, Plurald Siversun Riks ad Tannerson Skon Yivim Siv Alden, and translates as Harald Gormson, King of Danes, Scania Jomsborg, Diocese of Oldenburg. It is assumed that the disc was part of a Viking horde found in 1841 in the Polish village of Wielkawo, near the town of Wohlen, by Heinrich Bolt. Now, I pronounced the Latin badly, but at least I tried. I'm having a hard time pronouncing these letters. But they can at least try. Oh, in fiction. Yoms-vikings are the focus of E.R. Edison's novel Styrbjorn the Strong in Horned Helmet, a juvenile historical novel by Henry Treese. Fictionalized versions of Jomsborg under the name Jormsvik and yoms-vikings appear in Guy Gavriel Kay's novel The Last Light of the Sun, which is set in a fictional world that closely parallels 9th century Britain and Scandinavia. And Tim Severin's Vikings series, Thorgils spends his time amongst the yoms-vikings, although they are a smaller, older, and weaker force. The Longships by Franz G. Bengtsson retells an episode from the sagas where a band of defeated yoms-vikings about to be executed in Norway are proud, undaunted, and defiant to the end, winning their captors grudging respect and some of them surviving against all odds. The legendary Jomsburgers also appear in Creative Assembly's medieval Total War Viking Invasion expansion pack, though they are called yoms-viking. They are the most highly skilled warrior available to the Vikings, probably second only to the Varangian God, which were better than the yoms-vikings, but certainly were kind of OPE. Yoms-vikings appear in Thrones of Britannia, another Total War game where they are one of the best units available in the Norse Civilization factions. The short story The King of Norway by Cecilia Holland in the anthology Warriors has at its center the story of the Battle of Gavaga. In the manga Vinland Saga by Makoto Yukimura, several of the main characters are based on yoms-vikings from the sagas, such as Thorkel the High and Canute the Great. The manga depicts them as an elite force under Sven and then Canute during the invasion of England, while trying to keep their waning influence on the court. It is also said that the protagonist Thorfinn's father, Thors, was a yoms-viking until he became a pacifist, fleeing Jomsborg with his wife. In the Old Gods DLC for the Paradox interactive PC game Crusader Kings 2, the yoms-vikings also serve as a Norse pagan version of the Christian Holy Orders. Yoms-vikings are central characters in The Deepest Sea by Charles Bonnet. In the 2003 Polish film An Ancient Tale When the Sun Was a God by Jerzy Hoffman, yoms-vikings are portrayed as marauders in the service of the main antagonist, Popiel. Swedish melodic death metal band Amon Amarth released the album Yoms-Viking in 2016. The album tells a story set in the world of the Yoms-Vikings. The Yoms-Viking Order appears in the manga series Vinland Saga with its anime adaptation. The 2020 video game Assassin's Creed Valhalla features player-created characters for use in multiplayer scenarios called yoms-vikings. So, that's basically it for the yoms-vikings. They were not that great. But then again, at least they were something. So, hold on here for a minute, and I'm going to play you guys some music that the yoms-vikings would probably sing if one of their comrades were killed. Alright, I'm back. I'm going to play you this song. It's called Helvegen, or The Way to Hell, by Vardruna. Might sing a little bit of it. I'm not the best of singers, but sometimes I could be a skald. It's gonna take a while for the guy to sing. God's got a sinner man. He knows when I sing man. Nor he can go. Och det spåret tror kallar sökarna. It's som gav saken. Som är sanna. Jag är glad around av världens vant. Alright, I'm done singing. I'm done. I'll just let Einar Selwick sing for you guys. I'm probably going to get copyrighted for this, but I don't care. This is educational. I will post English lyrics for you guys in the description. For now, we're just going to listen to this, because this is important. This is probably what the yoms-vikings sang to their kin when they died in battle. They probably collected their dead in the same fashion we do. But I do want to sing the last bit, which will come pretty soon. It just repeats the seven verses. So anyway, how's life going for you guys? I know COVID-19's still around. I know people are still dying. More people will die soon. But as a behalf of all shows, cattle die, kinsmen die, you yourself soon must die. But there is one thing that never dies, the fair fame that one has earned. Cattle die, kinsmen die, you yourself soon must die. But there is one thing that never dies, the doom on each one dead. That was the 66th and 67th verse of the Havamal. The Havamal is probably what the yoms-vikings consulted in their daily lives to see if they were, holding up to dear friend, dear stjör samman en åtstidiagrej heimer surgoran giltun dear friend, dear stjör samman jeg vet ej herre dig domer dig den fan. So that was it for this video. Must have been extremely long. My videos previously have been short, but this one's been extremely long because I was reading an article. I will give whatever website I took the article from credit in the description. So that's it. For you Norse pagans, Skull. For you Norse Christians, see ya. And see you next week or two. Didn't I tell you guys I got a new horn? This is a stunning horn I've been drinking out this whole time, and it's reliable. Very reliable. Now, here's how I drink out of it. Drink out like this. Not like this. We're just gonna get that sound. Well, that's it. Bye.